Hey you guys, hope you're doing well. I thought I would finish off 2021 with this painting here, walking you guys through it step by step. Full process, talking through my whole from sketching to final details. So this is a part of my postcard series, which I typically haven't been doing a lot of. I don't know if I've done any videos for them, but I decided I would do this one in a little bit of a bigger format and then record it so that you guys could be able to watch my process as I go through it. I was really happy with the way that it turned out. It did have some technical difficulties along the way, so there's a couple spots right around the first wash where I lost a bunch of footage. So I mean, if you're looking for a shorter video, that's great because it cut out a bit of a chunk there. I will talk you guys through that when it comes up in the video. But other than that, sorry about that, and hope you can enjoy the rest of it. And there's still lots to learn from the very beginning to the end. All right, sorry you guys, I do not have my normal mic, so the sound quality may not be as it normally is. First things first, we are gonna get into the sketching phase, and for this picture, it's gonna be a little strange because we're translating a portrait picture. I wanna do it in landscape, so it'll just take some creative reimagining. So what we're gonna do, I think, first will be put in the ship, or the ferry, I guess, and I'm gonna offset it a little bit to the left-hand side, just because I don't think it will fit all the way. We don't want to stretch it so much. So let's put it in like that. I'm using just like a normal mechanical pencil. Sometimes I use like Alvaro Castanet, I believe he uses very soft leaded pencils, but then I've seen other people use mechanical pencils, and I don't know. I've come more and more to kind of feel like it doesn't matter what you use. It's just, it all ends up getting painted over anyway. The soft, I think with the way that Alvaro paints, the soft lead, like 6B or something, will basically just disappear into the water, which is kind of why I was using that, but I don't know that it's a huge deal one way or the other. See how this goes. This is the back of the ferry. Try to go all the way across. It's not really straight. Had someone suggest that I use a kneaded eraser, so here it is. Something like that. Okay. Kind of put in these gaps here. Obviously there's a lot of little details, like if I wanted to do all these red, what are those called? Lifesaver, the boy things or whatever, life preservers. I could do that, but I'm not going to be sketching every single one. I'll just add those in after. And then these windows, I didn't really leave enough space. There's like 4 in the picture, but only fitting 2 on this side. And then these ones, anchor. And trying to kind of step away from the picture and let my arm do the drawing rather than my hand, to get these straighter lines. This is for that black area. And there is that yellow line running. It kind of dips a little bit, so I'll try something like that. And then there's a whole bunch of windows. Again, these, I'll do them roughly, but I don't know. You know what? I'll just leave them. Once we get into the painting phase, we'll just continue ad hominem all the way through. Go like that. And then down here, I just need to make out the big shapes. So around about here, this is kind of where this lower deck starts. And that's all dark-ish. And then now in the actual picture, that yellow line is like just above there. So that yellow line probably needs to drop. It's not super important that it's exactly like that, but I'd like to get it a little closer. More like, whoa. More like that. There we go. Okay, then a whole bunch of little windows. Again, I'll do a couple on each side just to kind of get the idea for the other ones. And then this is solid. We've got a second section here just underneath this cabin, which I feel like I've lost a little bit of that's supposed to kind of be more of the front. This kind of does the corner. Try to add a bit more perspective to this thing, because there is going to be that light shadow there. So then underneath that, we have this another dark area. And then here we've got like that. Don't know how much that will show up. Some windows again. Got some crazy birds in the background. Oof. Something like that. And then we do have this kind of, I don't know what you call that, top piece. Oh, I didn't even see this. So then there's this smokestack coming down. That'll be nice. Pop of orange. And then I guess, I don't know if I want to include these little crane bits or whatever that are sticking up here. I think I'll leave them out. So I think the next piece that we should put in is the two minarets. And what I'd like to do is move them a little bit to the side and then have the dome somewhat offset, right? So we have the two here. So go like this. I'm wondering if I should. This is just a golden ratio tool, but I use it sometimes for, well, I guess because I'm too lazy to get a ruler. Just because I want to make sure this is actually straight up and down, all the way down. So, like that doesn't look straight. I feel like I made it fatter on the left side. Kind of bulges. Down, and then it does bow out near the bottom. And the other one is just a little shorter. There. And that one we don't see the bow. Just go like that for now. And it gets lost in there somewhere. Okay. I feel like they're a little skinnier in the actual thing. No, I guess they're about that much. So then we have these balcony thingies. I think what's happening is because the you know, our picture is not as high, might just make these balconies a little smaller, because if I left the same space, it's going to look a little weird, because now they're that much closer to the ground. The third one would be like here, which in the picture there's a lot more room. I might just do two. Obviously it's not, you know, accurate to life, but that's okay. Go there, and then there. All right, so then the dome, we will go, I feel like this is gonna be hard. Kind of go like that. I feel like that's bigger than it is, you know, comparatively, but that's okay. And then what I'm gonna do is the dome, it seems, well, looks, and I did kind of check it out. It's about half the height, which actually I guess I can't do that. How would I do this? That looks about half. Go like that. Okay. And there's kind of a lip that comes out on either side. And then we've got these mini domes on the sides. There's a bit of gap. They also have lips. And then the lower part, just trying to step back and see this here. Looks like it needs to be a little fatter. Yeah, so then there's the lip, and then we have this kind of like striping going on because of these textured things, you know, like screens, stonework. And then there's this guy in front that's kind of got this going on. We'll deal with some shadow in there, and it is square faced, so go like that, and then the right hand side is going to have to be in light, this part, so we'll make sure we leave that. And then there is a little bit of like a thing there that's also hitting light, and then that kind of goes like that. In the actual picture, that is now behind the minaret, but we did not kind of changing all the dimensions and things on the fly, so that's not gonna happen. Go like that. This one is darker. Doop, doop. This one has a little bit of shadowing that we'll see. And then we've got, oh yeah, so this, we'll have to kind of go like that, because then in between, for these ones, I think we'll use wet and wet to bring these out. Make them a little soft. I don't think they need to stand out a whole lot. And then got a semicircle thing going on here, another dome. It is getting some light, just like that. That will be kind of a cool effect, I think. seeing the shadow, like, you know, hitting some parts and not others. And then, we've got kind of this going on. I'm not too worried about some of these details. I think they'll just kind of get lost in the overall shapes. So it's just a few details that I feel like we need to bring up. That right side getting light. This one, right side getting light. This one. Again. Right side in light. There. And then we kind of have stepping down again 3 over here. These ones are mostly all in shadow, but we'll see their shape kind of against the sky, those two at least. And then this one, oh. This one is getting light. There. Just do a few of these lines. Just kind of indicate that. Oh, I see. There's all kinds of construction work going on this stuff. So I can't actually see what all is going on. Might just pause here. All right, took a little break to backtrack because the picture that I have is, you know, it's under construction. Some things are tarped off, which also, looking at this from further back, I'm realizing this dome is too high. So, gotta bring that down. Make it a little more shallow. Say to like here. Something like that. I think that looks a lot better. Try to take a bit more of this off. Everything is wiggling around. Oh yeah, way better. Okay, so what we're gonna do is just go through, do some of these. Again, these I'd like to do wet and wet, so they won't show up a whole lot. Do one there. Here, this kind of has to go, so there's a secondary stage, and because it's a dome, it has to curve a little bit. That will drop down, and then we have another stage. And this one has got some window stuff going on too. This is kind of using another picture to kind of give me some help here. But I think we'll just kind of let some of these details be loose-ish. So I think if this secondary main dome shows up for us, that'll be great. And then around here, we'll just bring these towers out. There is another dome here. It's a little more to the right. Technically, we'll move it over. a lot of domes. That's what makes it a beautiful mosque. This is gold. There. Some windows. Again, these will just be probably wet and wet, and then won't let them, they don't need to be too crazy stand out. This needs to have highlighted edges. Here, right side, right side. Oh yeah, there's more domes over here. And here. And then it continues. Kind of go like that. So we've got more domes over here. So here I just want to get into broad shapes because we don't need to spend forever just drawing domes, and then most of them I want to paint them fairly loosely anyway. We just go 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we will do the background skyline kind of area. Not skyline, but buildings. Drop down some houses over here. Another little minaret, if we can bring it out. If not, if we forget about it, that's okay. Another little domey part. This, so we have kind of a building here. That's in light, this is in shadow. Parts of this are in shadow. This is in shadow. These are in light. There's like a building here that's in light, that's in shadow. I think the main thing will just be to bring out some areas. So we've got that in light. We'll put a couple windows in this space just to bring some detail out there. And then here, oh, this dome. Just gonna get rid of that dome for now. This is a rooftop, kind of red brick rooftop, and then there's another building here. Maybe put some windows in that one. You could bring the dome out over top over here. Boom. Okay. And over here, this is where we're mostly making it up, because there's really not much picture that comes over here. So a few things, got other little bits of the building in shadow over here. We will bring out some rooftops. Some buildings. And then down here, so the tree in this picture, starts over the boat. We're just going to put it here instead. And then we have the land, which is just a step up from the bottom of the boat. And this is where we're going to pretend a big space of it. So we're going to put in like an awning where some people could be waiting. There seems to be maybe a bit of a start of that. And then we'll just put in a building. Totally pretend. Put some windows on that. Maybe it can have one of these big old doors type thing. This is the tree. And we'll just let the trees kind of continue on behind. We'll have that building sitting amidst there. tree will cover up a bunch of stuff between this made up space and that made up space. Okay, this needs a little bit more definition. Shadow, might do a little bit of an indication of some of the shadows just to remind myself, but obviously we will do that more as we go. There are some lines here. We might bring out some of those. Don't need to. Definitely don't need to bring out all of them. This guy. This is all like gold. Circle thingy ding. And then these have a little bit going on at the tips. Okay. All right, this is all kind of gonna be, if we can bring out maybe something there, a window. That is all just in shadow. Tops of these domes will kind of connect up with each other. Those, looks like there's another one actually here. I'll just say that building continues on. We can see a little bit of something in it, so we'll just put some windows in here. And we don't really know what happens over here. We can just see the edge of possibly some more of the dock continuing. And we'll just make that normal building behind. And see if there's any other details that need doing. These did turn out quite thick, which I don't know if I'm crazy about, but I think they're fine. There are like really minuscule, windows there. This probably needs to be a little more turned up. And then there are a few little things in here. We'll do the birds flying after. Just trying to double check the boat if we have everything we need on that. I think so. Just gonna make this area dark to remind myself. And yeah, I would say we're pretty ready to start getting some paint on there. All right, so I'm really liking the way that it has turned out, the sketch at least. So I've got my palette here. This is my new palette. What I'm gonna first do, I'm gonna move it off to the side so I don't get spray onto the painting, but I'm just gonna use my little spray bottle and spray my paints to kind of soften them up. And then I'm taking my biggest brush that I have. This is a Escoda Ultimo size 18, but it doesn't really matter. It just holds lots of water. So whatever your biggest brush you have, and then I am going to wet, we're going to start with the sky. So I'm wetting the whole sky. What I may have to do is kind of shift I have to sometimes kind of look at it from the side to see where the water has touched and where it hasn't. And the other thing is you're also having to work a little bit fast, because if you take too long doing all the edges, then you're just going to go right over the top. That will be okay. I do need to kind of avoid the minarets though. And I have the feeling that everything is drying probably too fast. And by the time I get to the paint, this stuff will have dried, but I'll do my best. Try to put lots of water in these between areas, because that's the part that I'm most kind of concerned about. Getting these wet. Go over this again. If it's not perfect, that's not the end of the world. Especially on this left side where the shadow will come. The right side is a little more important. You kind of want to leave whatever you're leaving nicely. And then we'll just kind of go do. Really try to avoid that. Go across. So by this time I'm very sure that this has dried again. So I'm just gonna wet it again. Broadly. Obviously the water is, running down to the bottom, so I know that the bottom areas are pretty good. It's nice and wet. And then we're gonna go into ultramarine blue. So I'm already thinking about how fast I'm gonna have to move to get it. So switching brushes, I'm using a smaller one here. Ultramarine blue, mine's a little dirty, but it's okay. I'm mixing it down on this side over here. I have a bunch of leftover stuff, that's all right. It'll just kind of get mixed in with everything else. And putting it on, I think I need a bigger brush. So I'm just going to my Ultimo size 14 instead. And just going blue. Try to make sure we get in and around these areas. See, yeah, this is almost dried completely. I didn't really go over that again. So make sure that we make this nice. This is not so, the left side will cover with shadow, so it's not a huge deal if it's not perfect. The right side is more important. Go around that. Leave a few spots for kind of hints of clouds. Got to pick up some water here because there's like a water run. And put a bit more blue. Alright you guys, so as I said at the beginning of the video, I did have some technical difficulties along the way here. My phone crashed a couple times, basically lost most of the first wash. So what I've done is I have a few little snippets that I did that really doesn't show a whole lot, but at least you can kind of see the phases that I worked through. So I'll just explain them. I want to explain a little bit of what I did so that at least that's clear. You can do the best you can to if you are following along or if you're just learning from it. So what I did is I treated everything up to here as one section. I didn't do the boat. So all of this I did in one go, and then dealt with this as a second strip, and then did the water in the end. What I did is this is cobalt turquoise, and then for the yellow, the actual building color was Hansa yellow deep, a little bit of yellow ochre, and some raw umber. If I was to do it again, I probably would leave out the raw umber and just go for a lighter color, but that's what I did. And then did that and tried to just not take too long blending into each other. So I did the green, yellow, green again, yellow. Tried to do some of the using ultramarine and raw umber, sorry. I did some wet and wet for these windows initially. So these ones are the very same ones that I did in the first wash, and worked all the way through. So I tried to, like I said, deal with these in little chunks so that none of it was drying too fast on me. Then this was another chunk, and then the water itself. The water, I also used cobalt turquoise and ultramarine blue, put it down, and then did some wet and wet with some darker ultramarine blue, and then mixed with some burnt sienna to make the really dark tones. So I did some wet and wet of that as well. So hopefully you guys can do your best if you're following along to catch up. I will show you the process in a few stages so you'll be able to see that. Okay, sorry I lost you guys there for a little bit. Just dealing with this right side here. Gonna put some burnt sienna to bring out some roofs. It's very messy, but I actually kind of like that. And then burnt sienna here. And then yellow just to finish off there. And I'm not sure what to do here. This is like under an awning. I'm just gonna kind of touch it up like that. Alright, I'm very sorry. I had a whole bunch of issues with my phone crashing on me and things like that. So I'm pretty sure that I've lost a bunch of recording. So we're just gonna go on from here, and we will just skip the parts that you've missed. So I'm doing my second layer now. So I'm gonna start up here, and as you can see, I've got some orange on my brush. So what I'm doing is mixing up some of this cobalt turquoise and some orange to dull it, and I'm going to use that as the shadow color on the actual dome itself. It's kind of very watery. There we go, something like that. And so we'll do that up here. Probably a little light, but that's okay. And maybe a little dull. I'm just gonna wet my brush and try to have this be a little more of a faded edge there. Okay, and now what we're gonna do for the shadow of the rest of the area is ultramarine. I'm just gonna do this here, and some pyrrole scarlet. Kind of mix up like a purple, and I wanna keep it fairly, sorry, I'll hold it a little more where you can see it, fairly light, so a little more watery. And we will just go like this. And we're going to try to maintain some of these areas here. So all of these are in shadow, and that one is not, so we got to work around that. I'm going to take this same shadow color that I mixed up with the cobalt turquoise, and we're going to do this kind of interesting shadow here where we leave like a jaggedy space like that. Okay, and then we'll go back to our shadow color, so the blue with the pyrrole scarlet. Blue, I want to keep it nice and light, nice and kind of like a purpley shadow, and we're going across all the way down. We'll stop at the tree because everything beyond that is kind of a different deal, and then we have to kind of negative paint around here because some of these domes have sunlight on them. Maybe just go like that, and like this one. In between there, we've got kind of a shadowy area like that. Bring it right up to the boat so that there's not a strange gap. And then we've got to kind of join it up with some stuff here. And here. Most of that looks like it's in shadow. And then there are some shadow in here. This one, oh yeah, this building. This shadow at least on the left hand side. Like that. Go a little bit in there, and a little more there. And I would say that's probably good for there. We need to, oh yeah, this is dried already. So I kind of messed up on that one. Go like that, and then try to leave a bit of space for the awning because that's getting some sunlight. I'm accidentally going into the boat here. And then this roof, we kind of have to make a decision since we made it up. I have to decide how that, we don't actually need to deal with that right away. So what we'll do is just go pretend some shadows in here. And I think I'll like maybe a little bit of some vertical shadows in here. Just kind of go so that way. So I think this building, I'll just put the front in shadow like this. And this one, I didn't do the door or anything, so we'll do that. I need to grab my other little brush, and I'm doing the same ultramarine blue. Here, I'll move it in here. Ultramarine blue and raw umber. Oops, wrong one. And we'll just do door and windows. That's probably good. Oh, that turned out pretty nice, I think. So I've been using this really big brush. It's not huge, but a little big. And I think I'm gonna go a little smaller on this right-hand side because everything is a little more intricate here. So what we'll do now is minarets and kind of move our way across. And I'm going to stick with that same shadow color. So I'll mix up some more here so you can see it. So ultramarine blue, pyrrole scarlet. It's not a crazy purpley blue. In some ways I wonder if I should have done the quinacridone rose instead, but it's what we've done, and so long as we keep it nice and watery, it will look nice. So we will go, I guess the top of that roof will need the same color here that we have. So cobalt and a little bit of orange, some more cobalt, because we want it cobalty. We'll go like this. And then rinse out my brush, switch to the other mixture we have already, and we're doing this all the way down. And then it goes to the underside of the balconies, so we'll need to do that. And then it continues down. Left whole side is in shadow, and the right side of the shadow will just continue under here. Like so. Okay. And then same thing on the other one. So take this color. This is the cobalt turquoise. Like that. I have to mix a little bit more of that purple mixture, keep it nice and watery. Because we're going to be using this for quite a ways down. So do that here. Seems a little darker than the other one, but it is very watery as well. So maybe it will be fine. I just put a little more water into that just to make sure. And then that one goes all the way down. We'll stop just above the dome because I'm assuming we'll want to bring that dome out and have it kind of pop amongst the shadow. Okay, so now we can deal with some of these shadows in behind. So like this, go like that, kind of leave that to frame there. This one, the left side of it is in shadow, and we'll connect that up with this whole area. This is all in shadow. We'll go right across underneath. And avoid the roof because we want it to be kind of glinting in the sun, like that. Okay, going back into the purple again, I'm just looking for which areas are in shadow. So this, obviously we can make it up too. The left side of this minaret, and this side of this building. Need a little more. And this. And these. Just kind of do a little bit of that in there. And then we'll just try to do some slightly abstract stuff in here, just some shapes to give it a feel for some things. So then this dome, we have a few shadows on these domes, so we can bring those out, and then these might just mix up a little more of this mixture. There we go. I'll do all of these domes at once, and all of them kind of have this shadow going on this side. Like that. And I would say it's mostly good. The only other thing would be maybe just popping a bit of a shadow on the bottom of these areas here, leaving the top. And that's probably good. Alright, so I think it's time now to start onto the boat. I'm switching to my, this is my silver black velvet brush. It's also big, but it's because it's kind of half synthetic, half natural-ish. Boy, those crows are going crazy. It keeps a nice point. So I have a little more control, especially in these fine areas. So what I'm going to do for the shadow is probably just straight ultramarine, although I am putting it into, I'm using the same messy well that I'm using for the other stuff. So I'm just doing a light ultramarine blue, and I'm just going to go right over top here. And kind of, so it goes like that. Comes all the way across. This area is in shadow. And then somewhere along here we're gonna have to, I'm gonna dry my brush and wipe it on a towel, knocking all my brushes down. And just kind of go like that. I just want to soften the edge. This one I'm not too concerned about because it's going to be a dark color under there. And then I'm just taking that same blue and we will go across here, and that comes down here. Oops. And then there's kind of a little bit in there. Again, that'll be dark. Gotta mix up a little more. This area in here, Probably a little too blue. This is probably a little too dark. Just try to wet it a little bit, take up some of that color. And then let's see, this is dark, going to be dark. This kind of, because of this, what do you call it, overhang, that is in shadow. I'm not going to do anything shadow wise here. This part could probably use a little bit. And here I actually probably should have, maybe I still have some purple left over, because really this, you should almost be able to see through this part on the right hand side into the background. So I'm just going to try to do that really lightly, like that. I should have just taken this color and gone right over, but whatever. Something like that. And then the last one is that smokestack. So again, I'm just taking a real light blue, ultramarine blue, and just gonna go here. Technically, I moved the smokestack. It really went further out here. I can come a little further down, I guess, like that. I'll do all the way to the top. Like that. Just trying to see if there are any more areas. I mean, there are a few little things, like there's some little things here, so I can just kind of bring some detail out there. The windows, there's some stuff kind of underneath these windows here. We'll just kind of go like that. Gives the idea that there's some shadowy textures going on. And then there's a couple little, you know, protrusions here and here, whatever. Okay, so now we'll deal with the windows, I think. Oh, there is also, this whole area is a balcony as well, so that needs to be in shadow. This one. I think what I'll do is just go right across, and if I want to bring out there's these white supports, I'll just bring them out in white at the end. Don't really want to bother with trying to cut around and make it look nice. Just like that. Right, we have a few things to deal with before I want to get into doing the windows and details on the boat. But this tree I want to deal with first. So what I'm going to do is just kind of wet this whole left side because I want it to be soft. And then I'm taking this color, I still have the color that I did on the tree to begin with, which was, I don't actually remember how I made that. I think I took this sap green and put some orange in it. So I'll take that, kind of mix up a little more, and then I'm just going to put blue, ultramarine in it, just to give it a dark tone, and then we'll just kind of go like this and have it bleed nicely, go a little more blue, and I'm going to put some raw umber to go for that really dark color, and just go like that. And go all the way down. Don't want the trunk to be too weird and, you know, overly drawn. So I'll just clean it up a little bit. Like that. I'm just gonna wet a little bit more. Oh, got some color on there. That's okay. I was just gonna do a few little areas where the branches kind of stick out like that. That should be great. What I might do is just take, I have a brush that has this is a flat brush, but it's got a bottom of the tip. I'm just gonna kind of go like this down here. Bring out some trunkishy shapes, just so that doesn't look like a giant blob of color. Okay, so now we'll move on to the windows on the boat, and then I will put in the line and things like that. So for the windows, I think what I'll do is go ultramarine. I'll move this over here so you can see it. Ultramarine and then burnt sienna, which will just kind of give us a blue-gray. I want it to still be blue, but toned down. So like that. And then the trick will be kind of the consistency, and obviously not making them horribly blobby. Probably maybe should be using a smaller brush, but at this point what I'll probably do is go till I make a mistake and then be frustrated with myself for not switching sooner. Do these. In some ways I wish that we had done these wet and wet, and we still could, but because the boat is, you know, kind of so central, it's probably better to have, you want some areas of wet and wet, and then some areas, you know, in more focus, and the boat is obviously a focal point, and so you don't want everything to be wet and wet. It will be fine. Just go like that. So that's that row of windows. There are some down here that I started. Oof. It's a bit of a blob, but that's okay. And those go all the way to the edge. It's actually quite a little bit more shaded. I might come back over with a second pass. Okay, and then these. This one kind of turns the corner, which is interesting. And I feel like it might look silly the way that I've painted it, but we'll get over it. Doesn't look like it turns the corner because of the way that I've done the shadow, but that's fine. Okay, we have some windows. We seem to have lost some windows when I was drawing this. Like there was this, I don't know, this balcony wasn't so long or something. These windows continue on. I didn't really realize that. So we'll do those. Like that. Okay, and then I think I'll just use that same color. I'll probably have to mix up a little bit more for the, you know, the shadowed areas, these ones. So I'll kind of just go like that. And then here, shouldn't have come so far because I want this wall as a light shadow. Just pull some of that away. And then these areas here, I'm gonna try to leave the bottom where the railing is, because I'd like to bring out some of those red life preservers, and if I go shadowed all the way down, I'll kind of lose my chance to be able to do that. Okay, do a couple dots here where there's some things, windows all along. Okay, this, I'm just going a bit lighter, kind of back to our like light ultramarine, back to our a little bit of our original shadow color on the boat, because this part of the awning is in shadow like that. It's probably a little strong, but obviously it will dry lighter. Always dries lighter. Okay. That is all good. So I think what I'll do now is do the very bottom color, which I'm just going to use the same thing, and we'll just go really strong. So sorry, I keep holding it just out of view. So I'm just going ultramarine and burnt sienna, just doing a really, really thick mixture. So this is like super, super dark. And that is going to be for this part down here. The nice part about doing that is then the color harmony is there. Everything is kind of made of the same hues, which is great. Just have to balance out keeping it thick enough but not having it be dry brush. If I put in too much water, then it gets too light. And the lighter it gets, the more the blues come out, as opposed to this kind of almost black color. Gonna have to shift my body here so I can get a better grip. Okay. So there is that. Now I'm just gonna bring out a few of these areas, and actually I'll switch to a small detail brush at this point. So I'm using my Perla again, and just using that same mixture that I just made. I'm just going to kind of go a few areas here like that. It's probably like stronger than I wanted it to be. I just want to bring that out. Okay. And now we're gonna bring out a few of these life preservers. This is gonna be hard to probably do subtly. So I've got Pyrrole Scarlet, and I'm just gonna go along and kind of go, wow, that one's messy. It's like pancakes. The first one is always horrible. I'm doing not full circle because in the picture, the left side is like in the sun, and I just don't want it to be like a drawing. And so I'm just going like that. They go all the way back. Okay, and then here, same idea. And there are none. Oh, there's some down here. There we go. That gives us kind of the idea of them. Right, I'm gonna do this orange line. So what I'm gonna do, because this is like muted in here, I'm gonna take, I have this, my orange is a little dirty because of the cobalt teal turquoise that I was mixing in. I'm actually gonna do that on purpose and just mix in a bit more. And so this will be this dirty orange. And then we'll try to clean that orange up. Sorry, I'll hold it more in your way. Clean that orange up. I have to move around because I want to get a really nice line. So I'm trying to shift around my stuff here and just go like this. It's probably more muted than I want, but it's too late now. Then I'm cleaning my brush off, and then I'm just going to get pure orange. I was debating whether to do orange or yellow. Decided on orange. And that's coming all the way along. There you go. That looks nice. Okay, and then there's a couple more spots that have it. So here, and then down here. This is lighter because it's in the sun, so I'm just going to water down my mixture. Maybe even more. Just like that. And then I think I made a bit of a mistake by not taking this all the way across. Just clean that edge up. And then there will be a little bit of a black stripe on top that I still need to do. I'm just gonna bring out a few other places because there's a few like orange things like up here, here. I don't know how much they'll actually show. Yeah, that's probably good. There is like a little bit of a, you know what, there's a little bit of a symbol going on the smokestack, but I'm just afraid it'll end up looking messy if I end up trying to do that. So while we wait for that to dry, I'm gonna go up and do the peak of this dome. I'm just using, this is like yellow ochre, and I'm just gonna do, you know what, I'm gonna do really light yellow ochre for the whole thing, and then we'll come back and do a shadow side. Probably should have done, I think I'll switch partway through and use this Hansa yellow because it's more like gold, so it's lighter, and then the shadow area can be darker of course, but I kind of want the sunny areas to be pretty light. Okay. And while we're at it, I guess we can take that same color and do a few things like this, here, here. Probably won't show up much, but to the, I don't know what you call it. If you stand here and look closely, you'll see them, which that's something that I love about a painting, is when you can go and stand up close and you see these little details that you're like, wow, I wouldn't even notice those from far away. And it just gives this feeling of like real life where there's just, you know, all these little things going on. You don't want to overdo it, have way too many details, but it's nice to have some of those. Right, I would say we're getting pretty close to being finished. There's a few different, you know, this is the painful part of the painting where you keep just going back over the same details and things like that. Especially for a video, it just feels like, you know, you're doing a million little things. But we have a few things to do, like this anchor. So this is the ultramarine burnt sienna dark mix, the same one that I used on the bottom. I'll just do that. I also kind of felt like I need to clean up the bottom of this a little better. More like that. And then there are, what I want to do is kind of bring out the feeling of some people, because there are different people down here and whatnot. So in this space, we've got like people going on like that. And then up here, there's quite a few different like people. So I'm not really sure how to do that. Something like this. And then these things holding it up. Kind of like that. And then like the bottom of this will kind of darken up to make it feel more like there's more shadow going on. A few more kind of suggestions of people. And maybe near the back. And then down here, This area I'm not crazy about. So I think I need to kind of bring out some people, and then I need to do a bit of a shadow color all the way across. I'm gonna bring out a few interesting colors down below. So this is cerulean blue. Just have some people like wearing blue shirt, orange, maybe a green, and then we'll come back over and cover that up. So just a few colors of like people wearing shirts down there, different colors, and then here some dark people going on. Might hear my son and my wife babbling to each other in the background. Okay. Oh, we'll do that top of the smokestack line, because that is a dark kind of black as well. Right up here. There we go. Okay, and then there's a few other kind of protrusions up here that we'll do in black. Here. We did a couple there already, something like there. A little something there. Here. Okay. I'm just going to clean off the bottom edge of this as well, right there. And then on in the picture, the bottom of the pier is pretty dark as well. So I'm just going to take a brush, the tape is coming up a little bit, and just go right across like that. And then same thing on that side. Let me just clean up the edge where it meets the boat. We're getting pretty close to being done at this point. I don't want to overdo the details, and so yeah, really trying to keep it to a minimum. I'm going to do some raw umber, and then some ultramarine. We'll do this for the shadow color, maybe a little more raw umber to brown it up a little more. Shadow color up here, like that, and then try to keep it nice and skinny. Something like that. Okay, the other thing that I noticed is there are a few spots that don't have shadow, like this dome, and then this dome, got missed a little, darken that up. That, and then this one has some nice shadow going on that we missed. Okay, I'm just gonna do a bit more of this. So cobalt, I'm doing the teal and orange. I mean cobalt turquoise, sorry, and orange, just to go for a dark muted turquoise. And I'm gonna bring out a few lines on the dome. Don't want to overdo it, but do want a little bit more something here, like that. And this side, we won't go all the way around that. And then here too, especially in the dark areas. Suggestion of a couple more. And then just go across there. Boy, my son is really not happy. Couple areas here. Bring out the bottom. So I think that, do one more. There's kind of like a thing going on there. I want to leave a fair bit of that kind of up to interpretation and suggestion. And the boat, I want to be the area that has a lot of the detail and draws a lot of the interest. The boat does have like a I don't know, a pole sticking up. Unless that's, no, it definitely is coming from the boat. I'll just put that in here because it will give us a nice, it does have some wires from what I can see coming off of it. And so that'll give us a nice anchoring point for a little bit of this and a little bit of that. All right, so for my white, it's a little bit cold. I'm just using gouache. So technically not a purist watercolorist, but that's okay, I don't really care. And I'm just taking it straight from the tube. And we're gonna bring out a few different areas. So for example, I said that we're gonna do these here, kind of those supports. A few other things that we'll do with white will be some of these railings in here. So here, I'll bring that railing out, and then this one. Gotta go back in. Kind of have to balance like how watery the mixture is. You know, the more watery it is, the lighter it will be, the less it will show up. Might just kind of give the hint of some railings in here too. And then I'd still like to deal with this area that's still a little too dark to me. Or no, too light, sorry. So do some railings in here, and then here, doesn't really show a lot. Do a few lines, some stuff over here. I think we need to add a little more into that space. Let's see. Here's a flag. Could put that in if we want. There. Add to the back of the boat. Okay. Maybe add a few things in here. I feel like we have a few more little details to kind of deal with in here. And then I want to put in a couple birds that are kind of flying across the building. And up here, something like that. Okay, let's try to deal with this area down here. I'm not crazy about it. So I'm gonna switch to my other brush. This is just my silver black velvet one. And I'm just going into some kind of gray mixture that I already have. And we'll just kind of go over it a little bit like that. I guess really there's a railing there. Just maybe why it just seems strange. Just doesn't quite feel right. And then maybe I do the same here. Add a little bit darker. Okay. So I think I'd like to add a few little windows in here. So I'll just go like this. I'm taking this small brush and going ultramarine and raw umber to kind of create, I'll bring it up here. Again, this is kind of the dark color that I've been using for windows and that kind of thing. And just add a couple marks here just to bring a bit of depth. And then down here, this is another area where there kind of should be some people. Just want to add some depth down there, and then like maybe bring out the awning. And over here, I think I'm just going to take the same mixture and lighten it up a little, and just kind of add like a few things here. Light post, railing. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to make up a dark mixture. So ultramarine, burnt sienna. And I'll use this. I'm gonna just do the kind of a little bit of the underside of some of these birds. Lighten up that gray a little bit. Just go here, here. Okay, and then I'm going to take that same gray. We're going to do some birds. I'd like them to kind of be like drawing attention up here. So we'll just do some birds around here. These are really light gray, so they'll feel a little further in the distance. I'm gonna do one circling off here. Not sure I'm crazy about that one. Probably should have left that out. Just get rid of him. Okay, I'll just do a few more kind of out here. And then I'm gonna just darken up that mixture, so that one was quite light. And just gonna go dark for a couple birds just to give the illusion of depth, so that you have some birds that are kind of more in the background, some that are closer. Oh, unhappy boy. There we go, a couple birds there. Like that. All right, all I'm gonna do is just add a few little details here in the background and a few posts, that kind of thing. Just trying to have a look at where we have some different things going on. There is a little bit of a shadow here. Alright, you guys, I felt like I was done, but I'm giving it some more thought. There's just a couple areas I'd like to touch up. That is this area. I feel like it needs to get darker coming further down, so right in around here, which unfortunately might ruin the flag. And then I'm going to see if I can just dry brush some windows in here a little bit. I just feel like a little bit of definition would help. So what I'm going to do is go in, see if I can, I probably won't be able to save the flag. Just wet this area. And then I'm going ultramarine and pyrrole scarlet and burnt sienna. So I'm going to kind of make that purple mixture that we have, but darken it a little more just down here. Maybe a little much. See, I can save the flag. Okay, that's pretty much what I wanted to do. The only other thing that I'd maybe like to do is just do something over here, because I feel like my wife asked me about this tree. It just made me wonder if it's sticking out a little bit too much or not quite, doesn't quite blend in with the other things. So I'm just going to do that. There. It's pretty much all I wanted to do. I could maybe do the same over here, but I'm worried I'll ruin more of it. I don't want to do that. So the other thing that I said I would like to try is to dry brush some of these windows. So we'll just see what this looks like. What I'm doing is just using some leftover kind of grayish spots here and just trying to dry brush a little bit into these areas. All right, not doing any more, calling it quits. Thanks, you guys. Hope you enjoyed that. I really had fun with this painting. I've really enjoyed my recent paintings. I feel like I've kind of taken a step up with color mixing and things like that. And I've been really happy with the last few paintings that I've made and the way that they've turned out. So that's been cool, and it's been cool to be able to invite you guys onto that process through the video. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if it was helpful. If you want to see more videos like this, obviously, I don't do them that often, but I'm trying to put a few out, and it seems like you guys really appreciate these kind of full process videos. So I will be trying to do more of those and explaining it all. I found that really helpful as an artist, getting to watch the process all laid out and getting to see all of that. So I hope that you guys do too. And yeah, hope you guys have a great new year. Thanks very much.